The Masters Championship has been one-way traffic in 2017 until this weekend, because it's time for the returning double E-plate holder and 3-time Masters champion, Joe Patterson. You're back in action again. It's great to have you back in the paddock.
Yeah, no, it's been I was happy to be back. See some familiar faces, friends, and yeah, it's just nice to be back.
And what a track to return, Buckmore Park. You certainly don't do things by halves. It's not going to be easy out there.
No, it's not going to be easy out there. Obviously, Sam's been very quick this last season and last year's season as well. But we know we're quick here. We won the E-plate and the championship, sealed the championship on 2015 here. So, and we won the E-plate here again in 2014. So yeah, it looks good. We should be all right.
So you have a hat-trick of victories in the Masters Championship, 3 E-plate titles so far. The 4th one could potentially come next time out at Shennington. Thinking about that so far?
Yeah, looking at doing that. We'll just see how this weekend goes, and but no, we're definitely. Hopefully, it's on the cards. Just obviously work for me and my mechanic John. But no, we definitely would like to come back and give the fight to Sam.
I was just going to say, we could do with a couple of last lap battles in the Masters. It's been a bit one way so far. Can you sort that out for us?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Well, we have to try and catch up to me. But no, like I say, Sam's a very good driver. And every time we've raced against each other, it's been very close and exciting, and it's very even between us. So hopefully, long may that continue.
Excellent. We're looking forward to that one, mate, and hopefully you'll spice things up for us, proper British.
100%. Yeah, thank you.
Well, you can always trust Joe Patterson to spice things up. He's there in 3rd position on the grid, along with Ben Yeomans and Sam Dimolo on the front row. Fisher is 4th, from Rainbird and George Friday having a good weekend. Bredner, Ogle and the rest. Keep an eye on the trail enders, particularly Jake White-Rowell. He'll want a good result. He was strong on pace earlier on, had a retirement, unfortunately, in the pre-final. But look at this, Patterson's thrown a second already. Joe Patterson launches forward and into P2 behind the fastest man of the weekend so far, Ben Yeomans. So Yeomans leads it. Patterson 2nd. Dimolo is 3rd as they work their way through the S's. Oh, something just parted company with Dimolo's kart. Something just flew off Dimolo's kart. Now that looks to me, I'm going to try and look at it as they come through. I think his chain guard's gone. I think Sam Dimolo's chain guard has come up. Now, that happened as well to Morgan Cole at fullback in the juniors earlier this year, and they gave him a mechanical flag and he had to retire. Now, if that's the case for Sam Dimolo, we're about to see the almost dominant championship leader. Only Ben Yeomans and Michael Roots have taken victories off him this year. We may be about to see Sam Dimolo retire from the race. This is an absolute disaster. Now, there's a warning for contact on the digi flag. Joe Patterson bouncing through the curbs. As up to 4th position is Jim Rainbird. But I've got a sneaky suspicion. Look, Sam Dimolo's looking behind him. Sam Dimolo is looking. I think he knows that something is not right. Well, it won't affect the performance of the kart, but it is still a safety issue. I think Sam Dimolo may get a mechanical flag for this. I think they're investigating it at the side of the circuit, and the marshals and the officials are discussing it. Ben Yeomans leading, won the 4th round of the championship in absolutely fantastic style at fullback, away from the cameras though. That's exactly how he likes it. Joe Patterson, 3-time champion, runs in 2nd position. Sam Dimolo in 3rd for the moment, reigning champion and current championship leader. It's been a really interesting dynamic though that we've got Joe Patterson back for this weekend. Up the inside goes Friday, makes the move on Bredner. Very little room for manoeuvring. He's going to have to keep it round the outside. He doesn't get the place. He slots in front of Matt Ogle. Oh, Dimolo's been given the command. Dimolo's been given the mechanical flag. Sam Dimolo, look, he pulls off the circuit, flat on the throttle. He's so frustrated. Sam Dimolo is out of this race with a missing chain guard on the kart. It's game over for the championship leader. For the first time this year, he fails to finish. That is dramatic. Absolutely incredible. So now it's Yeomans and Patterson out in front, left for a battle royale. Well, we knew that Patterson coming into the championship would spice things up, but we didn't know that Dimolo wouldn't be a part of it. 3rd position for Rainbird. Then it's Neil Fisher, the reigning E-plate holder, who will defend that crown 4 weeks from now at Shennington to see if he can retain the E-plate. But that man in 2nd place, Joe Patterson, has already told us he's going to try and go for it. He is a multiple E-plate holder, of course. and he's going to try and get the crown back, maybe for a full tilt at 2018. Maybe we can convince him, but he has told us, you know, his lifestyle is a little bit more hectic with house moves and partners and lifestyles and jobs. Well, he's obviously a little bit out of the saddle there. He put all 4 wheels on the runoff area there. You can't do that too often, Joe. But Jim Rainbird, fair play to him, is keeping good pace and keeping them honest at the moment. Let's look back. Neil Fisher is 4th. He looks back. He's got space to Roland Bredner. George Friday still there with Sam Fisher, and Lando Norris's mechanic, Matt Ogle, is in there as well. That man at the back of the queue is one of the top Carlin mechanics. There's quite a few decent kart racers as mechanics for the Carlin team, and the man who's giving Lando Norris his best possible chance of getting to Formula One, Matt Ogle, is working very hard indeed there at the back of this queue. He's had a reasonably good weekend from his standpoint. Speaking of fast mechanics in karting, of course, one of the birelART mechanics who would be eligible for racing in this championship, and would be if he wasn't working as a mechanic, is the man watching on the sidelines, Matty Isaacs, who recently threw away a dominant lead in the Rotax Festival at Clay Pigeon. I think he might have thought I'd forgotten it by now, but no, I will remember that for a long time, matey boy. Roland Bredner, meanwhile, is doing a cracking job to defend from a very motivated George Friday. Not far to come for George Friday, the man from Dartford. He only has to hop over the bridge a little bit, basically, to get here. Neil Fisher, the E-plate holder, trying to hang on to this advantage he's got at the moment. As they drop down the hill, Friday looks really fired up behind Roland Bredner. He really wants to go for this. He's got an absolutely incredible kart underneath him. He looks stable, he looks planted. That's Stig Elbeth there, just trying to close up on this battle. Friday again looks for the inside of Roland Bredner. Roland is having a very frustrating season, he was telling me earlier on. He just doesn't seem to know why he doesn't have the pace he should have. And, Friday's going to make the move on the inside. Can Bredner get him on the switchback? Well, Ellis Stevens did it 5 times. Will Bredner do it? Yes, he does. Very nicely done there from Bredner to maintain the position behind this train of karts. Is the number 7, Mark Lawrence. Now, you may think, well, that's not exactly a surprise. Oh, it's Friday, makes the move on Bredner. And now Sam Fisher's going to make the move. Bredner has to hang on to the inside. He does. Now, I was going to mention Mark Lawrence in the 7. There he goes. He was actually 4th on the grid in qualifying. He was having an amazing meeting in terms of raw pace. But again, bad luck dogged him in the pre-final, and he's had to try and catch up ever since. But in terms of pace, as Matt Ogle goes for the move on Sam Fisher and gets through. I'll tell you what, Matt Ogle will be showing that one at the Formula 3 paddock so many times. He'll be saying, Lando, see, you're not the only one who could pull off a decent overtaking move. I just pulled a flyer, an absolute cracker at Buckmore. And Lando will just go, whatever. All 4 wheels over the white line there for a couple of the drivers as Fisher goes through again, takes on Matt Ogle. I wonder if Matt will show that bit to Lando Norris. I doubt it somehow. Over the line again. Neil Fisher in front of George Friday, Roland Bredner, Sam Fisher, Matt Ogle, and Mark Lawrence is now starting to catch them. This is the raw pace that Mark Lawrence has had this weekend. Basically, in qualifying, it was quite an impressive result from Mark Lawrence. He had the stereotypical 3 up front that we expect to see. Yeomans, Patterson, Dimolo, and then 4th in qualifying was Mark Lawrence. So he's very fast around here, but he's got no luck at all. As the racing continues on up the front end of the field, Roland Bredner trying to hold off Sam Fisher as Matt Ogle now has intense pressure from Mark Lawrence. Certainly the furthest travelled of all of the drivers to get here. He has to go the entire length of Great Britain pretty much to get here. As near as makes no difference. Through the first couple of corners, through Henry's, plenty of curb taken. Sam Dimolo was telling me yesterday when we did the track walk prior to me having a go in Ken Churchill's car, you don't take any curb on that first corner, but you completely use all of it that you can through the second, through Henry's, to gain you good traction on the run up to the hairpin. So you'll see a lot of drivers skip the first part of the apex and then run over the curbs on the second. You've got to be very careful how much curb you use. Roland, careful. That was a very cheeky little move there over the runoff. You're allowed to do that a couple of times with a slap on the wrist. You certainly don't want to do it too often. 6.5 on the clock, plus 1 lap. And it's getting very interesting in the mid-pack as Neil Fisher continues to hang on to it. This little battle is getting interesting as well as Mark Lawrence throws it up the inside very late on Matt Ogle and has to concede it. But fair play to Mark Lawrence, continuing on the charge for the man from Boston. They both go over the white lines there. All 4 wheels off on the red runoff area. Incredible what the Surtees family has done with these facilities. Those red runoff areas are fairly new to Buckmore Park, and they used exactly the same circuit designer to put those in that was the man behind the runoff areas, all those multiple colours of runoff at the Circuit of the Americas at Austin in Texas, where they race Formula One. It's absolutely incredible the amount of work that the Surtees family has put it in, and of course, this is the first meeting of the birelART UK Series to run at Buckmore Park since the death of the late great John Surtees, the only man to win the World Championship on 2 wheels and 4. But it's amazing what the Surtees family are still doing. Nearly 6 months since he left us, and it's an amazing facility. Buckmore. It just keeps getting better every time we come to it. It looks even more slick and superb. I have a feeling the future is very bright for one of the top race circuits in the country. Up the hill. Still this battle as George Friday has now caught up with Neil Fisher. There's Patterson still second in front of Rainbird. Friday is right there on the back of the E-plate. Neil Fisher is going to get a lot of pressure from Friday, who's there on the inside of the second turn and finishes the move in turn 3. Beautiful. Now he's going to defend for the inside line. Get across quick, because Neil Fisher will take the place back. Friday's got to keep his foot in. That is brave. That is really brave from Friday. A driver like Neil Fisher will not concede a place easily, but Friday decided, do you know what? I've worked that hard to get the place. I am not conceding. Oh, Bredner's pulling off. Bredner's pulling off. His nightmare season continues. Roland Bredner is out of the race. On the run up to Garda, his day is over. That is a shame. So he joins Dimolo on the sidelines. Roland Bredner, game over. Well, Sam Fisher now chasing down his opponents. There is Roland Bredner out of the kart. Very disappointed indeed as we watch Sam Fisher trying to close in on the other Fisher, the E-plate. Might not be holding on to that title for much longer. 4 weeks' time they go for the E-plate Open again as part of the 7th round of the championship at Shennington. And then there'll just be one more round of the championship to go at Wilton Mill on the first weekend in November. Very close battle in some of the championships. Dimolo will definitely lose some points here to his opposition this time by. Yeomans will definitely be closing in some points with a victory here. It's a shame that Michael Roots isn't racing. He's watching, actually. I spoke to him earlier today. He's in the crowd. He's watching in the grandstands, but he's not racing, basically because if you remember, he did his rib at Glanigorse Park. At the next meeting at Clay Pigeon, he then did the rib on the other side. So he's still in recovery, is poor Michael Roots. And it's a real shame because we'd have a really spicy championship bid going to the last couple of rounds of the championship. But as far as Ben Yeomans is concerned, he's not bothered. He's absolutely monstering this meeting at a canter. He's going to make it 3 wins out of 3 if he keeps this up. And when was the last time Sam Dimolo didn't do that this year? Well, he's had a couple of meetings where Michael Roots has toppled him in the final. But for the last 3 meetings, it's been Dimolo all the way. And now Yeomans is going to win all 3 races. And it's the first time, I think, in 2 years that he has done the triple. The last time he won all 3 races in one meeting was 2015. That was the last time he'd won a race before Fullbeck. Isn't it amazing? You wait for 1 victory and then 4 come along at once. Well, I say 4, it's 3 for the moment. I don't want to jinx it on Ben Yeomans. He's out in front of Joe Patterson, but look by how much. The length of the entire straight and a bit more to Joe Patterson. Patterson's got his... Oh, Patterson's holding his helmet. I think Patterson is tired. I think Patterson's race is over. Patterson has worn himself out. Now, they did say coming into this one that the neck fatigue was going to be the deciding factor, and Joe Patterson is out of the race. That promotes Jim Rainbird to 2nd and George Friday to 3rd. That is big drama. Joe Patterson pulls out of the race, tired out and worn. He hasn't raced in the championship this year, don't forget. And this is the most physical race circuit in the calendar. That shows you just how tough it is. Patterson has been out of the kart for the most part of this year. And Joe Patterson is not a quitter. He does not give up on races. He gets to the end no matter what. And that just shows you how tough it is around here in these karts. Having been out of the kart for nearly 6 months, well, slightly more than that, as Fisher makes the move on Fisher. Sam on Neil. So Sam gets past Neil through the S's. He's going to hold on to it for the moment. But Joe Patterson having to retire from the race shows you how tough it is around here in these karts. 125 cc's, that's the same capacity of engine that the 3rd tier of MotoGP used to run. Incredible, these karts, incredibly powerful. And even for Joe Patterson today, it's just too much. Now Jim Rainbird looks like he's tiring a little bit. The leading grandmaster on the track is struggling to hold on to his advantage over George Friday. Friday is reeling him in. This is the battle for fourth place. Sam Fisher in front of Neil Fisher, and behind them, still trying to reel them in, is Mark Lawrence. Careful, Mark. Keep all four of those tyres on the circuit, please. You'll have a chuckle about that one later. I'm sure I'll get a ribbing for it at Shennington. I thought you could drive, Jake. You were about 5 seconds off the pace of me in the same equipment. Well, yes, I think somebody pointed out when I drove these karts yesterday that Ella Stevens was quicker than me around the circuit in the cadets. I have a feeling someone's going to give me a t-shirt that says Ella Stevens is faster than me. And don't worry, folks, I will wear it if anybody wants to make it. Into the hairpin. Sam Fisher in front of Neil. Continuing on in the final closing stages. We're on the penultimate lap. Look at the clock. 4, 3, 2, 1. That's game over. So there's just one lap to go after this one. But George Friday is absolutely on a charge here. Look, the gap is absolutely decimating as Jim Rainbird is desperately trying to hang on to that second position. George Friday is a motivated man. Last lap, Ben Yeomans is at turn 2 as the men in second and third are just coming over the start-finish line. Ben Yeomans crushing the opposition here today at Buckmore Park. He has got this one on a plate. It's brilliant to see Yeomans in such fine form. He struggled in the early stages of the season when Dimolo and Roots were at their prime, but Yeomans has made this weekend work for him, and he's now right back in contention for the championship. We know which round Dimolo will drop. It's this one, but this is the moment for Ben Yeomans. He won the heat, he won the pre-final, and now he's going to win the final. Checkered flag, that's the triple, and for the first time since 2015 that Yeomans has done it. He celebrates us over the line. Rainbird just gets there in front of George Friday with one more lap. I'm sure Friday would have got to second. Sam Fisher is fourth over the line in front of Neil Fisher. Sixth is Mark Lawrence in front of Matt Ogle, with Stig Elberth the only other finisher. Patterson and Bredner are 9th and 10th, but they all retired. Well, Ben, 3 races, 3 victories. I mean, you couldn't really have got that any sweeter this weekend.
No. Clean sweep's the best way to go, and obviously, you know, it's quite hard to do around here. It's such a physical track, saps your energy, and I'm glad that I could get to the end with all 3 intact. And
you set that up very nicely for the E-Plate in a month's time.
Yeah, the form's there. Let's hope I can carry it on into the next round.
Fantastic. Well done today. Absolutely flawless job.
Thank you.
So Sam Dimolo still leads the championship. Ben Yeomans is trying his best to close him in, with Rainbird in third ahead of Sam Fisher. George Friday is fifth ahead of the reigning E-Plate holder, Neil Fisher. And in 4 weeks' time, he'll be bidding to hang on to it as we head to Shennington. And whoever wins in the final in each of the 4 classes will win the E-Plate. See you then.